Okay, first off, Argentinian football fans, congratulations. You've actually made it into the knockout stages in advance on this one. Right, so Group J. It's a fairly straightforward group on this one too. There's not a lot of heavy hitters here. So yeah, Algeria, Argentina, Austria, Jordan. Obviously Algeria have been in the AFCON which just took place, and they've not really been the best in terms of performances this time around, having lost to Nigeria in the quarterfinals. So it will be interesting to see if they manage to turn things around going into the summer and this World Cup. Argentina, we already know what they can do time again. And obviously, this is Messi's last World Cup. And yeah, even though quite a lot of people might expect him to go back to back on this one, it's still early days to predict. There's a lot of factors to consider as well in terms of the other teams in the other groups too. But yeah, this should be a straightforward walk for Argentina to make it through. Austria, Austria have managed to some way get into this World Cup, even though they don't really have a lot of marquee names or like really well-known players in the squad. I think the collective effort of the Austrians to make it this far has really proved pivotal in their performances. Yeah. And lastly, Jordan. Yeah, the same could be said for Jordan, similar to Austria, where they don't really have a lot of big name players in the squad, but they've managed to get through, especially coming from the AFC Confederation region qualifiers. Um, so there's not much to be said here. It's fairly easy for Argentina. I would be surprised if Argentina faces another issue similar to what they encountered in the last World Cup, where they surprisingly lost to Saudi Arabia. But for this group, they don't have that issue. The only two teams that might prove challenging in this one could be Algeria, and depending on how Austria plays, they could also prove to be difficult. But then again, Argentina has just has a talent for players to pull from aside from Messi. So this should be a walk in the park for them to make it through to the next round. It should be quite easy. Um, what I predict might happen is that in the first game between Argentina and Algeria, Lionel Scaloni, that's the Argentinian manager, would use Messi just to get the 3 points and to get the team at the top of the table. But then for the match for Austria and Jordan, he might choose to rest him and save him up for the knockout stages. Because you have to remember, this is a World Cup where you have the round of 32, the newly created round of 32, and then you have the round of 16, and obviously the quarterfinals and semifinals and eventual finals. So what a lot of teams might choose to do is that they might choose to rest the key players for certain matches. The matches where they might not necessarily need to put out too many world class talents. Rest your best players for the harder matches and use your backup players for the easier matches in this case. So the match between Algeria and Argentina, which is the opener for Group J, you would most likely see Messi in that one. So Messi would show up for that one. But then for the match for Austria and Jordan, he might still show up for that one. He might still play certain amount of minutes. But if I personally would not be surprised if Scaloni chose to rest him up for the knockout stages and let other talents, especially the younger up and coming talents, um, play in those matches to get more experience in. Um, the match between Austria and Jordan will be an interesting one to see. I think pound for pound, both teams are quite similar in terms of their playing style. But then again, the tactical brilliance of Austria might prove to have the advantage in this one, giving them the edge. Uh, yeah. So if I had to look into the rankings as to who finishes first and who finishes last on this one, obviously the Argentinians will make the top spot for this. I mean, when you have Messi, you have everything generally, and not just Messi, you have others as well. So yeah, and also they have Martinez in goal. So it is obvious that they've actually qualified already. In second place, Algeria. But then again, I wouldn't be surprised if there's an upset and some way Austria might get into second. But then, based on just general experience and general footballing knowledge, Algeria should make it through into second place. Then Austria comes into third place. Again, if there's no major upset between the match between Austria and Jordan, and if there's no major upset later on in regards to the points, yeah, Austria should get into third place, and then yeah, obviously Jordan finishes last on this one. So Argentina first, Algeria second, Austria third, and Jordan sadly is most likely to end fourth on this one.